Since 2002, Coheed and Cambria has come out with 10 studio albums, a perfect number for this ranking. Today I'm going to be going over my most favorite albums and my least favorite albums, but rest assured, they're all good albums in their own right. Let's start it off at number 10, The Afterman Dissension. This was one of the few albums that I actually had downloaded on my iTunes, and I listened to it constantly throughout my university years. I kind of fell in love with Coheed just before YOTBR came out, Year of the Black Rainbow, and so this was kind of the first two releases past them, the Afterman Ascension and Descension albums. This is the one that I picked up and I listened to the most, but over the years, I think it deserves the bottom spot for me personally. I don't think there's that many songs on it that I really go back to time and time again. Now at the top I've put Number City because it's so just funky, fresh, it's bass heavy, some brass instruments playing up in there, and it just tells a great story of a guy kind of been injured in this car crash and is kind of trying to get his bearings on what's happening as the hospital noises are all going around him, and yeah, it's just a fun one. Coheed and Cambria is all about the narrative. I haven't actually read any of their material, whether it be comics or novelizations that they have to accompany all of this stuff, but Number City's always stuck out to me as a really fun thing to come back to. Next up, I have Key Entity Extraction, 5, Sentry the Defiant. When this was released as an acoustic single, I fell in love with this song. I've covered this song on my channel. It's definitely a fave from the album, but I think both this and the next one, Gravity's Union, which I didn't love that much initially, but I have to agree it's one of Coheed's more epic, like 7-minute songs that they like to do that are a little heavier and just a little more epic in scope. These top three, they don't quite reach the upper echelon for me in terms of being a 10 out of 10 song. You can see there, they're all 9 out of 10s. They're quite good, but they don't quite reach the peaks of Coheed and Cambria, in my opinion. And as we go down the list here, we have The Hard Sell, which I think is really fun. I really love this song. The only thing that I noticed as this era of Coheed is that their lyrics really started to get a lot more poppy than conceptual like they used to be, and sci-fi in their earlier albums, and so they're just kind of bland. Like they're lyrics you can sing to and easily remember, but they're not lyrics that really grab me in a way, whereas they still have a little bit of that, like in Gravity's Union. I think of the kind of the outro, Locked in Perpetual Motion section of that, where it does have a little more creativity with the lyrics, but The Hard Sell just really doesn't have anything lyrically to grab me, even though musically I really enjoy it and it is kind of a banger. Then we have Iron Fist, which I think is a pretty good version of an acoustic song. Although there's a few softer songs on this one, I think Iron Fist is the best of them for sure. Lethal, which is the opening track, I actually think is quite a good intro for Coheed. Usually, you'll notice in my album rankings here, I usually leave out the kind of the preludes to the album because they're not really songs usually, but this one was good enough to add it in there. 2's my favorite one, Away We Go. They're okay. They're very, like, they don't sound that Coheed to me. They're very saccharine. They're very, sickly sweet in a way. They're good. They're both softer songs too, and they're cute. They're cutesy, but I don't really look for cutesy necessarily when I come to Coheed. So they're at the bottom. And then Dark Side of Me, I know this is a lot of people's, like, one of their favorite songs actually, which I don't hold that against anybody. You're all entitled to your own opinion. Personally, for me, I think Dark Side of Me is maybe my least favorite actual Coheed song that they've made, and so it makes sense why this album is at the bottom of the barrel for me. But as you can see, 7.3 out of 10 is still a passing grade by far. It's a B, a low B. I enjoyed this album. I listened to it so much in university, so obviously there was something to grab me, something to keep me going. Alright, number 9, Color Before the Sun. Yeah, this is the album that, everybody poops on, everybody hates, because it's not a concept album. It's just kind of taken from things from Claudio's own life and what he's going through. And you know what? I I like this album. You can see there's a couple of tens at the top here. I think the audience does not get any love. It gets a little bit of love from people, but I think the audience is like just a great, like heavier song, epic song, even though it's not about a concept, it's just about their experience, as a band, and I really love it. And then Atlas is honestly another song that I've covered on the channel. Coheed and Cambria is my most covered band because they were my favorite band all the way from, back in the day to 2008 to 2020. They were my absolute favorite band. So the Atlas is like just such a great song about Claudio's son and just the experience of becoming a father for the first time. And it's such a beautiful song. I love playing it. I love hearing it sung. I like the acoustic version, maybe even better than the album version. But the album version's amazing. Like, obviously, it's a 10 out of 10. But I just think it's a beautiful song. Peace to the Mountain is the outro of this album, but I really, really enjoy it. It's a very different song for Coheed. It is a little softer, but it's still kind of epic in its own right. It's just like got this, it just gives me some swelling emotions when I listen to this. It's a great way to close out the album, and I enjoy the acoustic guitar in it. I enjoy the lyrics. Even though this is another mixed bag where I feel like their lyrics have gotten a little more mainstream and simplistic, I enjoy the lyrics of Peace to the Mountain quite a bit. And we got Ghost, which is, I think, a very overlooked song, and I actually didn't really enjoy this song at all. It's like so quiet, and I think this is the lowest maybe Claudio's sung in terms of his vocal range, like the lowest, and it's very soft, but it's quite a beautiful song about lineage and about parenthood and how our parents influence us and how their ghosts, or the things that they did, the things that they imparted in us, they remain as ghosts with us. And I really enjoy this kind of very reflective and vulnerable look at Claudio, and him reflecting on his own life and what his parents meant to him. And so it's a touching song that I think is really goes overlooked. You Got Spirit Kid is just a really fun, like, 90s jam. Like, I don't know if it's a 90s jam, but it kind of puts me in that. I guess it's like, you got the music video with high school, and I was, a high schooler in I guess it was the 2000s, but I was a 90s kid. So, yeah, it's just got, like, that great energy. I played this one. I don't think I have a cover of it on my channel, but I've definitely covered it. Maybe not recorded it, but I've played it. Used to play it a lot because it's just a lot of fun. So that one gets an 8 out of 10 as well. Then we got Island, Eraser. These kind of, I think they're the opening of the track, and they're fine. They're all right. Like, there's nothing that like blows me away, but they're still solid. I like to listen to them. I don't feel the need to skip them when I listen to the album. Here to Mars, I think a lot of people like this as well. It's a nice love song. Kind of reminds me a bit of Pearl of the Stars, but a little more plucky, a little more upbeat, whereas Pearl of the Stars on Year of the Black Rainbow is a little more somber, but also kind of the love song on the album. Young Love, of course, coming up after that. Also one, just I don't care for Young Love that much. And then Colors is probably my least favorite song on the album, but like they're still 6 out of 10s, right? They're not bad. They're just like, I don't prefer them. I don't go back and listen to Colors. I don't go back and listen to Young Love. Overall, 7.8 out of 10. Not a bad score at all. Okay, here's where the controversy begins. I have this, probably one of your favorite albums, down at number 8. What am I possibly thinking? And I get it, guys. When this album was new to me, I loved it, and I do love a lot about it. It's the end of kind of the saga of the Amory Wars, even though they're only their 4th studio album, but it kind of is the end of one thing, and then you kind of launch into Afterman, even though there's Year of the Black Rainbow comes after this, but it's kind of it's a prelude to the whole Amory Wars story, which again I haven't read, so I don't know the story, and I believe for this album, No World for Tomorrow, there actually isn't an accompanying comic book yet. That's still in the works. So yeah, it's the ending. It has some really epic stuff. It's got some really heavy heavier, like hard, not heavy music, but hard rock inspirations, maybe some metal inspirations, and let's dive into it. As you can see here, there's a lot of goodness on this album. I have 4 10 out of 10s at the top there. There's actually 5 10 out of 10s. I discounted, but yeah, this is a big step up from Color Before the Sun. You can see the total score, 8.4 out of 10. That's pretty good, right? Like, I'm not slamming this. I'm just saying there's some problems that I don't appreciate in the album, and I think they were avoidable. So let's open it up. The Incomplete 3, the Incomplete, just a real epic song that has some like harsh vocals, which like in one section, which Coheed does not incorporate a lot, but I really appreciate it here. It's epic, it's sweeping, it's just like what I want from like those suites that they have at the end, whether it's the Willing Wells, whether it's the Camper Valoriums, whether it's the this one where it's the Incomplete, or the Key Entities. Like those songs, if you're gonna label them in the suite, you better make them stand out, you better make them special, and for this one they absolutely nailed it, and I got no faults with it. It's just a perfect song in my books, and it deserves the top spot. Right below that, only just below that, Gravemakers and Gunslinger. The guitar work on this song is just so good. It is like top tier, heavier music guitar. It's not a metal song per se, but it's just got some really cool guitar work by Travis Stever, and the whole band does an excellent job on this album. And of course, this is the album that Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters, rest in peace, he actually recorded the drums on this album because Josh was having a bit of issue as behind the scenes, was out of the band for a bit, and so Taylor Hawkins came in and he actually recorded all the drums on this album. So the drums are bopping, they're great, as you would expect from a top tier drummer like him. Then we got No World for Tomorrow, the opening track, opening before The Reaping, which I did actually, it was one of the best openings on the album in terms of the kind of like the not the interlude, but like the intro songs. The Reaping is pretty good. It's down there with an 8 out of 10. But No World for Tomorrow is kind of like that heavy hitter track. Coheed and Cambria always loves to put like their second or third song as like their big song, and this is of course the namesake for the album. So I'm glad that it's as high as it is. It's just very like, again, like verging on metal, hard rock. Like it's just like a good, really heavy hitter. Like it's a big heavy hitter song that I love to listen to. And so it starts off strong. Then we have Mother Superior, which I think is one of their best like acoustic based songs. It's not fully acoustic on this version. I love to cover this song. I have a cover of it on my channel. It's one of my favorite songs. I think I also have a cover of the Running Free. Less good on that cover. Definitely Mother Superior I played a lot longer, and it lends itself to acoustic a little bit better. But the Running Free, like I said, I enjoy it a lot. Maybe 10 out of 10 is a little too high, but probably a 9 out of 10. But you know what? I just enjoy it a lot, and I like the lyrics of it as well a lot in this one. And their lyrics were still pretty darn strong at this time when their fourth album came out in 2007. We have a couple more Incompletes. The last one, On the Brink. I used to not really like this song, but just I love once I saw them like do this live. I didn't personally see it live. I've never seen Coheed and Cambria in concert yet, but when they did the Never Ender tour and they just like riffed, kept going and riffing on this thing and kind of improv'd a lot of it, I was really impressed. And this is just a great showcase of how good of a musicians the bands are. They can just like go and do this very long instrumental outro, and it's not all instrumentals. I like how it wraps up with Claudio's lyrics. Like it's very final. It's wrapped up with a nice bow. It feels good. It feels how you want the album to end, and it's just really good. Like there's no knocks against it really. It's a 9 out of 10, but because it's not my absolute favorite, but still really good. Incomplete for The Road and the Damned, a really good song. Incomplete to Radio Bye Bye. I don't know. I think maybe I would give this a 7 now. Maybe put it under the Reaping, but it's fun. It's very poppy. It's very like, it reminds me of Good Apollo 1 with like the kind of like poppiness added into it. It's just a fun chorus, fun song. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. A little bit under the Road and the Down for me. Then we got the Reaping. I already talked about this one, the opening track. Just really solid. I love the lyrics of it. It really sets the tone for the whole album. Feathers. It's a good one. It has like a cool music video that goes with this. But I don't know, the song on its whole doesn't grab me that much. The Hound of Blood and Rank, you'll probably be like, why is it so low? I like the instrumentation, but the lyrics really put me off. Like the song seems to be saying just really makes me feel like icky a little bit. And so I've never liked the lyrics to this song, and so that's really taken the enjoyment out of it on the whole, even though I think instrumentally it's not bad. And then at the bottom we have the Incomplete, The Fall of House Atlantic. I think this should even be lower than a 5 out of 10. Like, The Dark Side of Me is my least favorite of their songs. That is an actual song. This just isn't an actual song. This, like, I could probably exclude it from the ranking, but I think because they placed it and they labeled it an Incomplete, like, they labeled it as an epic song, and it's just this little instrumental with like these like weird chorus vocals in the background that do nothing for me. And I do not like this song. I think it's a waste of space, to be honest. Like, and I don't usually say that about Coheed's work, but like, I just could do without this completely. Or just make it a little tag before Radio Bye Bye, but I don't know. I don't enjoy it at all. I don't think it sets it up good. I think it's like, it's just boring, and like, I skip this now every time I listen to the album. But anyways, 8.4 out of 10. It's not bad by any means. Number 7, Afterman Ascension. Now, this album is really good, and I avoided it for a long time. And I don't know why, to be honest. I chose Dissension over Ascension when I bought an album and put it on my iTunes back in the day. And I don't know why, because this album's like just so much better. Like, it's a short album, right? Both the Ascension, Descension albums, they're only 9 tracks or whatever. So they're short and they're not very long songs for the most part. But I mean, it's just solid. Like, look at the bottom song, it's a 7. Subtraction, and it's good. It's a good outro. I don't mind it at all. Vic the Butcher, I think I found Vic the Butcher to be a little bit underwhelming. Key Entity Extraction 3. I didn't put all the key entities there. It just gets too long in the text. But you know Coheed, they love their long album names, they love their long song names. But Key Entity Extraction 1, Domino the Destitute, is definitely my favorite off this. I think this is one of the best songs that they've made as a band. It's just epic. I love the story in it of this boxer who's like, he's down on his luck, and he can't seem to get anything right. And this brother bond reminds me of that movie. Is it Warrior with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton? Kind of reminds me of that. It's like a soundtrack to that movie. But it's just great. It's a lot of emotion. It's a lot of heart. It's a lot of epic guitar work. Really enjoy it. Evagria the Faithful, Key Entity Extraction 4 is just a beautiful song. It's very different. I like how different it is, but it's epic in its own right. And I think both Claudio and Travis said this was their favorite song from the album, and maybe the other band members did too. Yeah, it was nice. This is the first album, by the way, where Josh, I believe, is back in the band as the drummer, and I think, is this one Zach Cooper also joined the band? Or maybe, yeah, I think Zach Cooper joined. Was this before Color Before the Sun? This is after. No, I think this is before Color Before the Sun. So yeah, but this is where I kind of fell off. So the reason I think I avoided this album was because like I kind of fell off of Coheed, or at least didn't listen to their new stuff that much after the Afterman albums. I didn't really like the one that came out, and so I kind of avoided them. I thought there was a few good songs, but I was like, man, this isn't, Good Apollo 1. This isn't In Keeping Secrets. It was kind of like that for a while. But you know what? There's goodness in this album. It's a short album. It's a really easy listen. We got 2 good songs after that, Mothers of Men and Goodnight Fair Lady. Goodnight Fair Lady. Mothers of Men is just like Like, I just love the riff. The riff in that is so good. And Goodnight Fair Lady is so catchy, and it does that great thing that Coheed loves to do, where it's a dark song lyrically, but like it's so upbeat and fun and light that like the music musically it is that it's just like the contrast just is so fun. And he loves to write his villains as like having the best time of their life. And thankfully I did listen to another YouTuber explain this backstory of this, because you know this song involves this guy trying to slip something nefarious into a lady's drink while he's out at the bar, and he does get thwarted. Nothing bad happens, but yeah, that's what the song's about. So it could turn some people off, but it's just so catchy and so like just so fun. Like the music and the instrumentation is just it's just so good. So then we have the Afterman. It's really, you know, the namesake of this whole thing. The character's husband goes up into space or into the keywork to explore it, and he's presumed dead, and so she's like trying to deal with the loss of him, or the perceived loss of him. If he's not here, then where, is a great lyric that I think Claudio took from when one of their family friends passed away or something, and is something that his wife Chandra said. And so I thought that was a great use, you know, from life, putting it into a song. And Afterman's great. Hollywood the Cracked, I bumped this up quite a bit. I used to not like this song at all. The lyrics turned me off from it as well. But it's also another, like, it's very fun. The lyrics are a bit dark, talking about this prostitute here who's had a tough life. But, like, it's just it's a really good song. It's grown on me a lot. Key Entity Extraction 2. I think all the Key Entity Extractions are really good. Vic the Butcher is my least favorite. That's coming up next. But it's not a bad song by any means, and I think some people probably like it more than me. This album's just solid throughout. Like, the lowest score is a 7. Total 8.5 out of 10. Let's move on. This is going to be a long video, I can tell. Alright, number 6. Vaxis, Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. Oh boy, this one was, honestly, I love this. This is what got me back into Coheed, this album. It's just like, it's so epic. And like, that's its greatest strength, and it's also its greatest weakness, is just the length of this album. I think this is like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. Like, this is like watching a standard a movie, like a 90-minute movie almost. You know, it's like, it is a journey. You gotta strap yourself in if you're gonna listen to this one from front to back. As you can see here, long list. I think there's 15 songs on the album. There might only be 14 here because I probably excluded, the prologue is just, it goes into the Dark Sentencer. I put those together. But the Dark Sentencer is maybe my favorite Coheed, like, epic song. I don't know, actually, but it's really up there. I was really impressed. When this first came out, it was one of the singles. I was just like, oh man, Coheed and Cambria, they're back at it. Like, they're doing it. They're doing it well again, and that was exciting, because I was, again, kind of like, I still listen to them. They're still my favorite band, but I didn't really care for the Afterman albums. I didn't really care for Color Before the Sun when it came out, and so I just needed something to sate that Coheed itch, you know, and this was the one that finally brought me back in. So I do have that to thank for it. So it does seem a little bit low on this list considering that, but you know what? Honestly, like I said, it's just the songs. Every song on this album is 5 minutes or more, with the exception of like maybe 1 or 2. And that is just like too long for me to listen to every single song. Like, you have to be a really good song to like maintain a level of, you know, I'm in this song. And they have a lot of them. They do have a lot of good songs on this album, but like, it just makes the whole experience hard to listen to the whole album in its entirety, which is what I usually like to do. I like to listen to an album from start to finish, and this one, it usually, you know, it'll take a couple sittings, unless, unless I'm really dedicated. So Dark Sentencer, one of my favorite songs of Coheed of all time. The Gutter, really great song. The Call Your Mother refrain or whatever from that is, become a big thing with the merch and stuff, as Creature's mask or whatever. Queen of the Dark. This song is just so weird and different, but it's like, I don't know, I considered putting it at the very top at one point, but I think The Dark Sentencer beats it out. It maybe is above The Gutter for me, just because it's so unique and interesting. It Walks Among Us. This is a great song. I always think of that, and Nighttime Walkers always make me think of Stranger Things. I know Claudio's a big Stranger Things fan. Maybe he took some inspiration from it. Yeah, those two songs are great. They're, one's a 10, one's a 9, but they're both good. Unheavenly Creatures, I think, the namesake of the album, also really good, catchy. I think it's one of the few songs that might be less than 5 minutes. I don't remember. It might not be, but still, it's a very straightforward song, but it's I enjoy it a lot. Nighttime Walkers 9, Toys 9, Old Flames, which has kind of become the theme of Faxis. That kind of refrain from Old Flames. We all go up in flames, going out in style. That's become kind of the theme and the musical motif from that. So that's great. I love that. Wish that was the album under, honestly. As you can see, Lucky Stars is at the bottom there. I think I should put that as a 6, to be honest. Lucky Stars just is not the vibe. It's an okay song if it was anywhere else, but honestly, Lucky Stars, I think they should have done as a B-side. They shouldn't have put it on the actual album. It's not very good, and it kind of is a downer. It's a downer because it comes after Old Flames. Old Flames would have been the perfect ending, especially for how Vaxis 2 opens. Old Flames is just that should have been how the album ended. It would have been perfect, and so Lucky Stars just kind of feels tacked on. So I go in a little out of order, but Lucky Stars probably should be lower, which would bring the score of this one down a little bit. But 8.8, it's just such a nice, it's the infinity 8. Such a nice number, so let's leave it at that for now. Maybe we would, I don't know if we could bump anything up, but yeah, Old Flames, really good. All on Fire, didn't like it actually at the beginning, and then I realized it's actually a really good song, so that one has moved up quite a bit. Love Protocol, The Pavilion, both great, little softer songs, but they're just really good. True Ugly and Black Sunday, they're the kind of ones I'm meh on, but they're still good. And then Lucky Stars, like I said, don't love that one. But it's not as bad as a Dark Side of Me to me, but probably should be a 6 out of 10, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. Unheavenly Creatures. Number 5, Vaxis Act 2, A Window of the Waking Mind, the latest release from Coheed and Cambria, and it makes my top 5, which is probably shocking to some of you that hated this album or didn't care for it. Look at that album art though, man, they knocked it out of the park with the artwork for this one. Probably the best album cover artwork on the album, even though there's some that are maybe more iconic, I think, in terms of just this looks like a sci-fi film I want to watch, Look at that, no bad songs. And that's what I love about this album. This album, there's a few highs. I think Window of the Waking Mind I put as a 10 just because I respect it a lot, but in terms of my enjoyment of listening to it, it is at the bottom of those 3. Those are the ending songs, by the way. Those last 3, Rise Neonatia, Cut the Cord, Ladders of Supremacy, and Windows of the Waking Mind, they are the epic outro of this album, and I appreciate Coheed going back to that formula, and also having these 3 songs that are just so different. At least Ladders and Window are so different from the rest of the album, and they actually are those long songs that are 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes long. And in that case, I really, really like it. I do like long songs from Coheed. I love their 7-minute songs. It's just that on the last album, Vaxis Act 2, or Vaxis Act 1, every song was over 5 minutes, and then that gets tiring. This album, they made a good choice. Every other song on this album, other than those top 3, are 3.5 minutes, typical length songs. Our Love, I think, is a 2-minute song, but it's a beautiful, beautiful song that, if my wife was into Coheed and we weren't already married, I would love to have at my wedding. I think a lot of Coheed lovers would love to have that as their first dance. I think it's one of the most beautiful songs that Coheed's ever written. I think Ladders is and Rise Nayanisha, they're tied for number one, to be honest. I like them for different reasons. Rise Nayanisha, I just love the fast lyric delivery and the intro and just the and just the drums throughout. Like, it's just so good. I love the sound of it throughout. The only knock I have for it doesn't really have a knock, is that like it is a little bit like there's not too many change-ups in it, whereas Ladders of Supremacy has a lot of change-ups. Windows of the Waking Mind, of course, has the most change-ups, but Ladders is like a really cool mix between like the Willing Wells and like Dark Sentencer, which I told you. I think Dark Sentencer I like a bit better, but Ladders is definitely up there. And Window of the Waking Mind is just a great outro song. It goes 5 different places. It's the most proggy Coheed song that they've written probably since the first good Apollo album, at least, if not Keeping Secrets. And probably actually since 2113 from Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. Like, it's probably their most proggy song since then. So if you like prog, that's the one song that you're gonna love, and probably Ladders as well. A lot of people hated this though because it's a very poppy album, and here we have a Disappearing Act and Love Murder One, very like electronic synth inspired poppy songs that I love. I love these two songs so much. I was putting them at 9.5 at one point, and then I think I decided to not put any 0.5s in any of the scores on this one. But like, it's so good, guys. It's so good. So I wish you would give it a chance. But if you don't like it, it's fine. It's not your thing. I love Disappearing Act. I love Love Murder One. Still have no idea what Love Murder One, those specific lyrics mean. Is it murder in the first degree? Is it, I don't know. Murder One. Is it a play on words? No idea. But I love it. Shoulders is next. When this came out, it was my top played song in 2021 because I think it came out the prior year as a single, first single that they dropped, and I was like, oh, okay, they still got it. But now I've played it to death, and I'm kind of sick of it, but it's still, like, there's a reason why I played it to death, right? So there it is. Embers of Fire, Beautiful Losers. Embers of Fire is the opening, which has the motif from Old Flames, with Little Atlas opening the album, which was awesome, and then Claudio gets in there, the beautiful swelling score, and then that goes into Beautiful Losers, and like, yeah, it deserves a 9. Like, it's so good. Like, there's not a bad song on this album. Like, truly, like, not only is there not a bad song, there's not even just an okay song on this album. I love every single one of it. Blood, beautiful song, again, about lineage, about like growing up in a world that might be afraid of you or mistreat you. A lot of father-son dynamics here and parent-son dynamics here. Again, really mirrors like Claudio and Chandra's own life with their son Atlas. But here we have the two main characters and their son Vaxis, who the series is made over, and their love for him really bleeds through, and Blood is one of the beautiful songs about that. Even though it sounds like almost, I thought it was going to be a more hardcore, dark song, but it's actually quite lovely. Our Love, like I said, beautiful wedding song. The Liars Club and Comatose, I think Comatose is better than the Liars Club, actually. It should be above that. Comatose is quite good. I might put that as a 9 as well. The drums in it are great. I just think that it's like, they're very accessible songs, and like, they're very like, the Liars Club I would expect to hear on the radio if it's not been on the radio somewhere, like, and so for me, like, that's not what I come to Coheed for, but I still think it's good. I think Liars Club is probably one of their most popular songs from this album, and I'm glad that Coheed's reaching out to a wider audience through here, and I don't mind it because they always change up their style and their approach to each album, and that's what I love about them, and it still sounds like them. I've covered the Liars Club really badly on my album, so even I could appreciate it enough to cover it on my channel, even though it's terrible. I did Disappearing Actor as well, and I think that one's a much better one, even though my voice just doesn't have the range that Claudio does, obviously. Bad Man, I bumped up from like a 7, or even like maybe a 6 at one point, up to an 8, because I think it's good. I didn't like it at first. Claudio made it when he was on some, high, and he was inspired by Michael Jackson style song. You know what? I think it works. I think it's the worst song on this album, but it's still 8 out of 10, baby. And there we go. Total score, 9 out of 10. Number 4, Year of the Black Rainbow. This is a surprise to me, honestly. Like, I never expected this to be so high on my list, because I disdained this album when it first came out. It was a big disappointment to me. I did not like it, but I think that only lasted for like less than a year. And then I started to really appreciate it. Look at this lineup. Look at this Murderer's Row here. It does have a one song that knocks it lower than the last album. And I think I had these albums switched around, but you can see they're both totaled 9 out of 10. But they're so different. Honestly, they're so different. This album was just like, it's kind of like heavy and distorted and like kind of overproduced in some ways, and maybe that's why a lot of people don't like the sound of this album, I think. But it's got some great songs. I think it's got like such a good lineup. Here We Are Juggernaut, my absolute favorite from this album. I think I've covered it on the channel. Yes, maybe, no, maybe, I don't know. I know I play it all the time. Guns of Summer, a lot of people hate this song, but the drums on it are just insane. And people are like, well, because Chris Penny was the drummer at the time. He was just way more technical of a drummer than Josh is. Josh is great, and he fits the band perfectly. But Chris Penny just like, it's just very fast paced, a lot of hi-hat hits, and I don't know drumming at all. But I just enjoy it. I enjoy what he does. I enjoy this song a lot. I like the darkness in this album, mixed with like the frantic, frenetic energy of these songs. Pearl of the Stars is number 3 there. Probably have covered that on the channel. I'm pretty sure I have as well, done a cover of it. Beautiful song, one of their best acoustic type songs, even though it's not full acoustic. It has a great guitar solo in it as well from Travis. But like, beautiful love song as well, tragic love song as Coheed is wont to do. World of Lines, just again another frantic, high energy, high octane song that it's just so good. It's just so good. I don't get why people hate Year of the Black Rainbow. And I mean, I should, because I hated it at the beginning too. In the Flame of Air, or The Broken, sorry. The Broken is the opening track, or the follow-up. One is the opening, technically. I didn't add it because, one, it's not a real song, and it's not my favorite intro to the song. I just wish they started with The Broken, to be honest. But The Broken's awesome. It's I think a very underlooked, one of those, the second, third song on the album that's a big banger, heavy hitter. I think it's one that's like the probably most overlooked out of that, but I like the lyrics in it too. It's very, it's very forlorn, but it's very like looking for hope, and I enjoy that as well. The tone and the meaning behind the lyrics. In the Flame of Air. Now this, I think I would actually put this as a 10. So this would justify it to go over I made a last minute switch between this and Vaxxus 2, because over time, initially when Vaxxus 2 came out, I was really high on it. I still am, but I think overall, Year of the Black Rainbow has stood the test of time since 2010. And in the Flame of Air, this was when I was in high school. I played Macbeth in the play Macbeth by Shakespeare, and this was my song to get into character, man. This is a song about murdering people and murdering, and will these hands ever come clean? That's exactly what happens to Lady Macbeth. And Macbeth is like, the guilt of killing the king is eating them away, and the guilt of killing his friend. Spoilers if you haven't ever heard of Macbeth, but honestly, there's no excuse. It's been out for literally hundreds of years. But like this song got me into the zone, and so even like that, I think my graduating year was 2011. This came out in 2010, so already by 2011, I was higher on this album than when it first came out. It was growing on me. So In the Flame of Air, love that song. It's great. I love the storytelling behind it too. This Shattered Symphony, great song. Far, really good song. Made Out of Nothing, great song. Where Skeletons Live, great song. That was another one that I was like, this doesn't even sound like Claudio or Coheed to me at first, but I learned to enjoy it a lot. Year of the Black Rainbow, I think, is the only dip in this whole album. It is the outro. It's very slow. It's very like not a lot of substance, a lot of weird sounds in the background, and I do like the beginning when there's still lyrics in the song, and then once it's like, it's over, we're all coming home, while you were sleeping, we've been stealing your home. I do like it a lot. See, like it's there's goodness in it. It's just like, it's just too long, I think, and it has too long of an outro on the back end of it that kind of just dissolves into nothing that interesting. And so if they just cut it at a more reasonable point, it could be a little higher, but hey, 9 out of 10. I love this album, and it's my number 4, baby. The Trinity of Coheed. The first 3, baby. And it's like, you know, it's at some point, you know, it gets a little sad that they're not better albums than the first 3 that a band put out. But I think it comes down to preference too, right? I've seen people put Afterman, Ascension, and Descension as their 1 and 2, and I think that's insane. But more power to you, you know. Coheed needs people like that, you know, that likes the new stuff even better than the old stuff. But for me, these 3 albums, man, they are the pinnacle of Coheed for me, and they're what I always come back to constantly. And so let's break it down. Which is going to be in the 3 spot? The 3 spot is number 3, In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. And, you know, I owe a lot to this album. This album is what got me to play my guitar. I learned almost every song on this album, other than 2113 and, maybe a couple others. But I literally set out, I went to, you know, guitar tabs, and I learned so much guitar from this thing. I've done a cover of it in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 on the album. I've done a cover of The Light in the Glass on this album. I've played back end of Forever, Cuts Marked in the March of Men. I think I have a cover of Blood Red Summer. I don't know if I have a cover of Favorite House Atlantic. I don't, but I've played it so many times. Faint of Hearts I've played. Al the Killer I love to play as well. Even though it's the bottom here, I'll explain that as we come to it. But guys, this is a lot of people's favorite album, and justifiably so. I get it. It's great. I just think there's a few things for me that keep it away. One, I've noticed that I love, there's like the Starland Ballroom performances of these songs I like so much better than what's on the album. There's also a version of The Light in the Glass that is just Claudio on acoustic when it like was first coming out, and he does it all just himself, and just the passion behind that is what I've always loved about The Light in the Glass. And the actual version that's on the album itself, I don't enjoy that much. I think there's a little bit of suffering here from the production value of the album. I think if there was a re-release, which I don't know if they've done, if they, I don't know, you couldn't re-record it because it's good as it is. But there's certain things in this album that hold me back a little bit from making it my favorite, even though the songs in it are phenomenal. And I come back to them a lot. As you can see, number 1 there, don't know how popular this is, but 2113, the last one on the album, very proggy, very progressive rock, so many change-ups in one thing, has some harsh vocals or the screams that Claudio likes to do, and I just love this. It's kind of nonsensical, but I love 2113. It's so unique. I don't think there's any other song like it in Coheed's discography. It's one of my favorites. Next up, we have In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. This song is just so fun to play on guitar and to cover. And I think some of this, like this and The Light in the Glass, I think I like to cover the songs more than I like to listen to them. Like, I like to play them. But they're so good. Like, they're so good. And of course, they play this, I think, pretty much every time they play live, and it's just a great song. The Crowing, epic song. The Burn Your Wings line and that whole section. I will call you, I will call you, I'll burn your wings and burn your wings. Like, I mean, how can you not? Like, just belt it when that comes on. Like, it's just so often, like, I will kill you all. Like, it's just so epic. Like, the vengeance of, fictional Claudio, the Crowing, as he's known, his name, his title. I don't really know the story, but I know a little bit about it. So, Crowing's epic. It's one of the best songs ever. The Light in the Glass, like I've said, love to cover it. Wish the one on the album sounded better, at least to me. But it's epic, like 8-minute song that's beautiful and awesome and haunting. Three Evils Embodied in Love and Shadow. This is fun. Of course, the This is just like, yeah, just such a good one. Just, I don't know, guys. Like, what do you want me to say? They're pretty much perfect songs. Cuts marked in the March of Men, also perfect. I love it. I think it's not as well known, or like I don't hear a lot of people talk about it a lot. It comes right after In Keeping Secrets, but I love playing this song. I just love the lyrics, and the lyrics were so good back in the day, guys. It told a story. They were interesting. They were poetic. They really were thought provoking. You know, where I think Coheed has lost that a little bit in the later half of their discography. But Camper Volume 2, Back into Forever, that's my favorite Camper Valorium. Gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Blood Red Summer, honestly, just such a bop. I love the music video. I think Coheed, generally for me, I don't like their music videos, but this is one that is classic. It's just Claudio and the rest of the band members are all zombified and coming after him in a cabin, and he's prepping, trying to fight them off, and then gets turned into a zombie at the end himself, and it's just great. I love that. Blood Red Summer, it's great title to a track too. It's just like, oh yeah, I want to listen to that. Favorite House Atlantic, absolute classic, one of their best, and one of their most popular, I think. Is a little poppier, can bring everybody in, bring all the kids to the table there. Camper Volume 1, Faint of Hearts, it's fine, you know, it's a song that's just about phone sex, and so like it can't really go much higher in my books there, and it's like my least favorite of the three, even though it's above Al the Killer here. I think it's my least favorite Camper Volume 1. The reason Camper Volume 3, Al the Killer, is lower is, again, because it just, the production value, it just doesn't sound good on this album. Like, I love the song. I've heard them do it live in the Never Ender tour, and like the harsh vocals that Claudio does in that one just sounds so much better than the album version. And so I love the song. It's crazy, it's insane. It's a black man that's very racist against white women, and the lyric is die white girls. And so like, yeah, there's a little bit of a lyrical content warning for the kids there and for anybody sensitive, but it is like, it's pretty great. It's pretty funny. Dance Upon the Graves of the Dead, like, great lyric. It's just a fun time, you know. It's good. It's that typical dark, but sounds very poppy and fun and upbeat. And actually, this song sounds a little dark too, and it fits the tone. But it's just like, it's fun to sing along for sure. Number 2, the Second Stage, Turbine Blade, the album that started it all. I love this album, guys. I was very skeptical about this album when I first got into Coheed. So I first got into Coheed because my friend in high school, she said that Coheed and Cambria, they suck. Don't listen to them. And of course, then I had to go and listen to them. And so the first thing that I saw of Coheed and Cambria was this music video for Welcome Home, of course. But I thought it was the official music video, and it had like scenes from the movie Troy with Brad Pitt, and I was like, what? Oh, how could anybody think this sucks? It's an epic song with an epic movie, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know this was like a soundtrack of Troy. Turns out it was just a fan-made video, but it was like the most popular thing, so it was the first thing that came up when I typed in Coheed and Cambria. But man, ever since then, I really fell in love with this, but then I found it hard to a little bit to get into In Keeping Secrets and Silent Earth 3, although that one was much more accessible. But getting into Second Stage, Turbine Blade, I was like, man, this is like, is this even a man singing this? Like, it was very weird to me to hear Claudio's voice for like the first little bit. And of course it sounds like a man to me, but he's just got such a high range in this one. But like the raw passion of this album, like this has obviously the lowest production value out of all of them, but where I think it works against In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3, I think it really works for Second Stage, Turbine Blade, because it's so raw and passionate and powerful. This was the band's first album as Coheed and Cambria, breaking out into the scene, and my goodness, is this a great album. And like almost no knocks against it whatsoever. Like iRobot, I put in there. iRobot's just like a secret track song. It's not even like a real song, but I love it, and so I put it there, even though it's an 8 and brings down the total average of the songs. But look at all the 10s on this thing, baby. Delirium Trigger, my absolute favorite. Reminds me of the movie Alien. Literally has something bursting out of somebody's chest, and like just like dark sci-fi lyrics, and like very do 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 do. Definitely have a cover of both Delirium Trigger and June Song Provision, which is great. I love the Army of Darkness reference, or not even reference, but just the lines from, of course, Bruce Campbell from Army of Darkness with his boomstick there on the acoustic version. I love the acoustic version. Love the full version. Everything Evil, just a great. I don't think it's the opener. Time Consumer is, but a great song. Hearshot, Kid Disaster. I remember listening to this whole album, and like I knew it had a story behind it, but I didn't know the story, and so I just listened to this in my bed at night, and I would make music videos in my head to all of these songs. And for this one particularly, I just remember it being like, an army unit or whatever that are like going up against this whole city of like guys, and like the lyrics kind of went along with it, but like these kind of like this desperate attempt to fight against like overwhelming odds was kind of what I saw in my head, and just epic. And of course we got the lovely line, "I need mayo," which we all shout when we want a hot dog. It's great. I love that he named one of his characters Mayo Denton Wolf. Like, just you gotta love it. You gotta love the naming conventions here in Claudio's comics. But yeah, Hearshot, I've always said it as Heartshot, Kid Disaster, because I don't know what Hearshot means, but everybody I think probably misspells that at one point. But love Hearshot, Kid Disaster, not Heartshot, Kid Disaster. Neverender, baby, like how can you go wrong with Neverender? It's literally what they've named their tours for when they play their albums in their entirety. Just the Neverender. It's just so good. The "Dear Mom and Dad, I'll write you in the letter that stays." Yeah, it's just like the lyrics in these old albums were just phenomenal, and like they told a story, they got you invested, and they're just so good. Time Consumer, just such great like guitar work early on, like the early instrumentation that was just so interesting, and like this is like a more punky album, but it's got some complexity to it. It's got some technicality. God Sent Conspirator, great song. Devil in Jersey City, great song. Again, I used to not like it so much because the content is quite disturbing of Devil in Jersey City. So just a lyric warning for you that you're diving into for the first time. But I mean, it just sounds so good. And then it's got those like some harsh vocals from the bassist Mick Todd at the time, and I just think it sounds so good. And like I wish there was more of that in Coheed. But I can get my fix from Second Stage Turbine Live here. Elf Tower, New Mexico. I don't even know if it's just like on the actual album or if it's on the B-side. I don't know. It's kind of all mixed in, right? So Elf Tower, New Mexico, just great. I love the song. I think it's the only song in Coheed's discography that they actually use the words Coheed and Cambria, the names Coheed and Cambria. Great song. 33, probably my least favorite song on the album. Still put it as a 9 because I think I had it as an 8, but I'm like, no, it's so good. And there's like no misses. There's hardly any misses on this album, guys. It's just one of my favorite, honestly. And I literally just throw it on every couple of weeks at least to just listen to the whole thing. There we go. 9.6 out of 10, guys. Pretty damn flawless for the most part. Like you can't get much higher, can you? Well, you can. You can get a little higher, and you can get a little higher with Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 1, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. Madness. I love this album. Look at that epic, just so simple, the album artwork, but man, iconic. Very iconic. And of course, look at this mess. This is just a mess of songs because there's so many songs on this album, and they're all so good, and like they all need to be on here, and they all have long freaking names. And this time I put the Willing Well, give the proper respect this album deserves by putting it all there. Man, this album is just the best. Like it's my favorite. It's my favorite. This came out of the anguish of Claudio being broken up from by Chandra, who's now his wife. So they got back together, but at the time got broken up on or whatever happened, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but it gave us this album, which is just like revenge and very a lot of angst, a lot of stuff going through Claudio as he was making this. But instrumentally, this is the best album, bar none. It has the best guitar work, the best everything, in my opinion. The lyrics are dark, but they're, again, very interesting. They tell a story. And Willing Well 2 from Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, I think that's no surprise, a lot of people's favorite song, but it's just, I love the poppiness, the poppy sounding song, a very upbeat song with the dark lyrics. It's just so great. Willing Well 3, Apollo 2, The Telling Truth, I love that song as well. The Willing Wells, they don't really miss at all on this thing. They're all 10 out of 10s. This is where they did it. They did it so right. Whereas even in Keeping Secrets, I don't like all the Camper Valoriums to the same degree as these. Number 3, we got the Willing Well 1, Fuel for the Feeding End. Very good. This is just like fantasy awesomeness. Like, to me, like, this is just epic fantasy songwriting for me. It's so good. Crossing the Frame. I think everybody loves it, but I don't know if everybody loves it as much as me. It's just so good. I just love the beat too. I love the willing. Are you willing? Well, hey, now off to the hell you got a soul to find. Never again will you rely on the word of your friends in the unwitting end. I think that's that song. If not, I'm singing another song from this one. But I just love Crossing the Frame. I don't even think that is the right song. If hello could only drop its O and then stay in the front door's way of your home, would you live there still? Would that make you everything I hate? Like, that's just a great opening, Crossing the Frame. And it's just so good. So good. Love Crossing the Frame. Welcome Home, of course, cliche, but it's so good. It's their most popular song for a reason, because it's epic, it's awesome, and it deserves a 10 out of 10. Once Upon Your Dead Body, great title for a song. Very venomous, but fun, and it's 10 out of 10. Mother May I, 10 out of 10. 10 Speed of God's Blood and Burial, 10 out of 10. The Suffering, 10. The Willing Well, 4. The Final Cut, 10. Amazing outro with the instruments again. So good. Lying Lies and Dirty Secrets of Miss Erica Court, 10. Apollo 1, The Telling Truth, 9. Why is it a 9? Because it's just like Apollo 2, The Telling Truth. Oh, one of those is wrong. One of them is the writer. I think Apollo 1 is the writer, and Apollo 2 is The Telling Truth. Unforgivable. But there we go. The reason it's a 9 is because it's just like the song is basically encompassed in Apollo 2 later in the thing, and so it's a great song, but there's just a more completed version of it later in the album, and I don't mind that they're both on there. There is some differences. Always and Never. I like that. It's a great opening. It's very like the child laughing in the background and saying cute things. Like, it's very like, ooh, this is cute, but there's ominous stuff going on, and it's gonna get dark, and it does. Wake Up, I think, honestly, Wake Up might be a 7 out of 10 for me. It's a good song. It's another one that I like playing. I've played a lot, but I don't love it on the album. Everything else around it is just so perfect, and then this kind of changes it up. It puts some sweetness, even though there's some darkness in the lyrics as well. Puts way too much sweetness on an album that is otherwise like just vengeful and awesome, and but that's okay. It's good. It's good. A lot of people love Wake Up. I just I kind of skip it. I skip it a lot. But you know what? This is still my favorite Coheed album of all time. It's one of my favorite albums. Definitely my top 10 albums of all time. It's high up there, maybe top 5. It's just so good, guys. This was my favorite band for nearly 10 years, more than 10 years of my life, 12 years of my life. This is my favorite. Now they're still my second favorite now, but Yeah, I just appreciate them so much. And then you can see my ordering, my ranking of them. So we got, as a recap, we got at the top, Good Apollo Volume 1, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. We got Second Stage Turbine Blade. We got In Keeping Secrets, A Silent Earth 3. We have, I didn't change this around, but we have Year of the Black Rainbow, should be in the 4 spot there. Vaxis 2 in the 5 spot. They're both 9 out of 10s. Then we got Vaxis 1, Unheavenly Creatures at number 6. And number 7, we have Afterman Ascension. Number 8, I know too low for most of you. We got No World for Tomorrow. Number 9, we have Color Before the Sun. And number 10, we have Afterman Descension. Thank you guys so much for watching this very lengthy video that I procrastinated doing for so long. I rambled way too much, but I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy Coheed as much as I enjoy Coheed. Let me know what your rankings are down below if you survived to this video up to this point. And yeah, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.